tolerance is closely intertwined with almost all the principles of the Universal Declarations of Human Rights.
It's not just something that you owe the next person next to you.
Yeah.
It's actually a legal requirement.
Yeah.
Even amongst people of the same culture, you will still find amongst them that there's still a little bit of diversity amongst them, because people think differently, they act differently, they understand things differently.
Intolerance has cost a lot of people their lives.
So we should be looking for candidates that can give us that. But it turned into a tribal.
They even they left the problem and started focusing on ourselves.
Exactly.
We made ourselves the
What
problem.
intolerance does.
I'm closed off of this person. I shouldn't have anything to do. So the first thing when you meet that person, there is already an aversion, there is already a state of mind.
Even before you hear what they have to say.
Before you hear what they have to say.
Welcome to the Timeline Show.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Timeline. Today's conversation is on a topic that has been tagged trivial, but is a matter of concern to nations around the globe: tolerance. Well, you know me, my name is Precious, and I have my girls here, Jennifer, to help drive this conversation. Hi girls, how you doing?
Hello.
Precious.
How are you guys doing?
I'm doing
Fine.
well.
And you?
Jennifer, how are you?
I'm fine.
Oh, why didn't you ask me though?
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you for asking. Well, now let's get into the conversation proper. Tolerance is the ability to accept and respect the diversity of humans. You know, all humans are different, and I would like to say that even twins born of the same mother act differently. So all humans have different ways of expressing themselves, different cultures, different ways of life, these different ways of even expressing their emotions. So humans are different, and tolerance is the ability to accept and appreciate that rich diversity.
Yeah, the UNESCO defines tolerance as the respect, the acceptance, and the appreciation of our rich diversity of our world's culture, our forms of expression, and the ways of being human. Which means it's not just about, you know, the food we eat. It's not just about our traditions, our culture, like our way of life. It also goes beyond us, like being humans. It means that tolerance can exist in every social dimensions of our life. As a person, you should be tolerant of others. It shows that like there's harmony in difference. Yeah.
Okay, I would like to throw in there that tolerance also means coexistence, like the ability to accommodate others who have varying opinion, or people from diverse races, cultures, because obviously we will always be different in some way. I mean, so tolerance will be like allowing space for others to actually exist also. Absolutely,
because I was reading an article on the UNESCO's website, and then the article was basically talking about tolerance, and the woman in question about it was an interview. So the woman in question said everybody lives in a mixed community. So the only way to survive in that kind of community is tolerance. And it is very important to highlight that tolerance is closely intertwined with almost all the principles of the Universal Declarations of Human Rights, be it freedom, right to equality, freedom of expression. Because if you're not able to tolerate the next person beside you that you feel have, you know, different or varying opinions or practices from you, how then are you allowing them, you know, to express, you know, their human rights?
You know, there's something they say that where your rights stop, another person's rights begin.
Exactly.
So it's like being tolerant is like, it's not just a moral duty. It's not just something that you owe the next person next to you. It's actually a legal requirement. It's a political requirement, because like you said, coexistence. If you're not tolerant of somebody, how then can you guys coexist? How can people be able to make decisions? You see a lot of people in Nigeria. We have how many ethnic groups? And imagine if we lack tolerance. I mean, in some aspects of our dealings in Nigeria, we lack tolerance. But if we were actually, all of us were intolerant of people, how would we exist? Because people have different things. I mean, I've seen office scenarios where somebody be like, they brought their food, maybe the ingredient they used in the food was like probably like smelling everywhere, and you see people having issues over that. Why? It's someone's tradition, it's someone's culture. You know, and it is important that we exhibit tolerance in every aspect of our life, because it is really necessary.
And tolerance might even sound like a very trivial topic, like I said at first, but intolerance has cost a lot of people their lives. Like it has caused, disunity in a lot of people. So now let's flip the switch a little and talk about intolerance. Intolerance is basically the direct opposite of tolerance. Like intolerance is not being willing to accept that people are different, because it's one thing to know that people are different, but you don't accept, like you don't appreciate the fact that one person's opinion can definitely be different from yours. I mean, you don't even necessarily need to consider whether they are right or they are wrong. It is their opinion, in this case. So intolerance is basically the lack of empathy to understand and appreciate that people are different. The practices and opinions of people can differ, especially in the world that we live in right now.
Most of the times when you see like intolerance happen, it's mostly like, okay, they think a particular person is a minority. I mean, even the Christians, you say one with God is majority. Talk more, and minority that I've seen is not even like one person makes up a tribe. You understand? Like minority is probably like 500 people, or in fact more than that, but it's just these particular people think they are the majority. These particular people think that these people are the minority, which should not be so, because that's how the effects of intolerance begins to spread around the world when you begin to think that people are inferior to you.
Okay, and so I would like to also add that at the core of every cultural conflict, every conflict among nations, races, is actually intolerance playing out. Because if we can just accommodate each other, we can just coexist and accept the fact that we are people of different, we will have differences. We all have differences. Even amongst people of the same culture, you will still find amongst them that there's still a little bit of diversity amongst them, because people think differently, they act differently, they understand things differently. So if we're actually going to do well, we must actually cut out that board.
Exactly, and appreciate the culture of different. That's the reason why I even said that even twins that were born have different they have different opinions, they have different beliefs, different practices, as a matter of fact. And right now I'm not even talking about culture, I'm talking about how they view life. Their opinions about it, how they express themselves. And then intolerance can be expressed by prejudice, bigotry, discrimination, and just basically having negative beliefs about people. Imagine saying, this ethnic group, they are known for killing, so everybody that belongs to them, they are,
or maybe even where you're from. You understand? Like people can actually be in the same country. They are like both, like maybe let me use Nigeria for example. All of us are Nigerians, but different ethnic groups in that place will feel like, no, you are different from me. We should not be so. Now you mentioned twins, siblings. I know that at some point when they are growing up, they are like, okay, they don't tolerate each other. But as they grow up, they begin to, they'll say, we outgrew that phase. But one thing about intolerance in a country or in an ethnic group, it is hard to let go of it if you are not, like, if you don't practice the right mindset, if you don't know what you're doing. Because a lot of times when we've seen civil wars, when we've seen even blown up wars, like actual conflicts from intolerance, they don't see the problem. In fact, for them to even try to stop the problem, for them to seek like amelioration of this problem, they still even spread more intolerance. More issues, and that's like a big issue. Because yes, you mentioned that intolerance is something that it seems trivial, but when I was actually like, I've seen that a lot of problems are deeply rooted in intolerance.
Exactly. Now let's even talk about the effect that intolerance has, and not just on us as people. Because when we talk about intolerance, we're not just saying you don't like your neighbor, you don't like how your neighbor cooks, or you don't. Intolerance now affects even the global world at large. Let's talk about ethnic division. Let's bring it down to Nigeria first off. In Nigeria here, the last concluded election, we could see a lot of discrimination, hate as a result of, this person is supporting this party. And that time, most people could not understand why, this person is probably supporting this party. Why are you supporting that party? It just, like, it resulted to a lot of violence, discrimination, biases, and all of that. And you were talking about how it can even happen like in like one nation. Let's talk about Rwanda. In 1994 rather, Rwanda had like just 3 major ethnic groups. That's the Hutu, the Tutsi, and the Twa. And then all of them, they were living together. But as a result of intolerance, one ethnic group became king. And that's where, like, that's mostly the problem. Ethnic groups like this. One person became king, and then as a result of that, the other people were saying, why can't it be me that can be king? And it just caused a lot of problems at the time. Intolerance can cause a lot of ethnic divisions. You just see people that are of the same nation, the same people, basically, because we always say that, we are one, but then a lot of people don't even practice it.
And referring back to the election that happened in Nigeria, the thing about intolerance is, aside the like ethnic division of it, like people now fail to see the problem.
Exactly.
That election now was for the betterment of everybody in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So we should be looking for candidates that can give us that. But it turned into a tribal war.
They even like they left the problem and started focusing on ourselves.
Exactly.
We made ourselves
That's
the
what
problem.
intolerance does, because
Exactly.
these people now capitalize on it. If you look at it, probably it's for another agenda, the candidates, but they capitalize on the fact that we can't tolerate each other.
Ourselves, yeah.
That we are seeing our flaws. Meanwhile, that's not what should be so. So they use that opportunity to, you know, like get their own selfish agenda going. And it can lead to like no cooperation. People don't cooperate anymore, disunity. When people cannot tolerate themselves, because it's not just about your culture. The UNESCO said ways of being human.
Yes.
In your workplace too, in your families, a lot of issues that happen is people no longer cooperate with each other. People no longer, you cannot make decisions.
Yeah.
Because now we're sitting down, we're talking. But if we are having a conversation now and I'm like, I don't like you.
I don't agree with it.
I just don't like you. Do you understand? I can't tolerate you.
Yeah.
No matter what you say, it will never go through.
Exactly.
I'm just looking at it's coming from you. Somebody I like can tell me that exact thing, but I would take it because, oh yes, I know this person.
Yeah.
But you telling me, because I don't tolerate you, I don't like the fact that you're from this tribe, or I don't like the color of your skin, or all of that, I would never accept it.
And most of the time it's even close-mindedness, when you just believe that, oh, these people are, you know, superior, and these people are actually inferior, and then I'm superior. And all of this, I think, it even has something to do with education, you know, education that people get as a result of growing up. So I was reading an article, you know, one of these conspiracy theories, and then they were saying tolerance or intolerance can be a psychological thing. You know, it can be something that happens as a result of, you know, your psyche. Tell us more about that.
Okay. I wanted to also point out the fact that earlier that most times, all these things, intolerance is a result of misinformation, because you just pointed out psychological factors.
Yeah.
You know, most our experiences build us, our information builds us. So, and it's part of what builds our psychological structure, or how we assess things and view things. If something is already wrong with your mind, like if you've already been told something about a particular culture, about a particular race or some people, obviously you're already going to be thinking, the first thing you're going to be thinking is, I'm closed off of this person.
Exactly.
I shouldn't have anything to do. So the first thing, when you meet that person, there is already an aversion, there is already a state of mind.
Even before you hear what they have to say.
Even before you hear what they have to say. So you approach them, you associate with them based on the information you already have, because your mind is already playing something at the back burner, at the back of like somewhere, something is playing, a loop is playing. So as that loop is playing, you've heard a lot of things, so you're approaching people with that mindset. So obviously you would never be able to actually communicate with all these people. And another thing we'll find with all the psychological factors is that you would always see it play out even in the very littlest things. We see even here in Nigeria, as simple thing as possible, like walking on the road, being with people in vehicles, and there is already this how will I put it now? This tension, or will I put this guard you put up when you are with people?
Walls.
Exactly, when you are with people that are not from your race or your culture, you're already thinking, there might be
careful.
danger. Let me be careful. You are being cautious. It's a mindset, actually.
I absolutely agree, because I remember seeing an advert some time back, and it was talking about, you know, intolerance and basically discrimination among ethnic groups. And then the advert was the landlord wanted to, you know, take a tenant into his house, and then he's like, what tribe do you come from? And then the lady, you know, mentioned her tribe, and he's like, no, I don't want your tribe in my one. I don't. You people used to think that. Exactly, and it can cause a lot of things, like even things that, you know, that we cannot even think of, because you'll be like, is it something as trivial as intolerance that is causing this? But intolerance can also cause civil disorder, like unrest, political unrest, when you just see that everybody even everywhere is just in chaos. Wars. Exactly. Even civil wars.
You know, like in the 1900s, 20th century, I was reading up on that, and I saw that there was like the Yugoslavia people, they freed them. So it led to a lot of like problem. The Croatian War of Independence, the Bosnian War, all of this now were because they separated people. The people that felt they were superior now automatically made the other ones feel less of themselves. It then led to them fighting back. And you know that there is nothing that can come out of this. You understand? Like when there is war, people people that even innocent people that are even tolerant self will still
exactly
like they'll still face the problems of this war. And you see, like from what we've said so far, intolerance is not just like, oh, the government owes you. Like normally when we're talking about issues, we're like, okay, the government has a role.
not
a personal problem.
Yes.
It's like a personal thing. It means that you, as a person, if you are not tolerant, you cannot say my government did not teach me. You are meant to be tolerant. Like, and it's what is being passed down. Because like she mentioned now, like something that they've told you. So a lot of people just grow up and they see that,
I think that these people
are allowed. They feel like, and that should not be so.
Intolerance
has a lot of a ripple effect on the economy, on people, on society, the world at large.
You can't find unity.
Exactly.
You can't find unity when it's not possible to actually have cohesion when there is actually intolerance. Okay, imagine workplaces. This plays out even in how we hire people, how we recruit people in organizations.
Yes.
Because we are thinking, okay, let me watch out for the kind of people I'm recruiting into the company. Maybe this tribe, let's stay away from this tribe. Let's bring more of this tribe. Let's be cautious about this. Even when we eventually have these people coming to the company, there is this guard. Any little mistakes they make,
just blame it on
you already know.
Yeah.
Your mind is already telling you that it's because this person is from this place.
Exactly.
It's because this person is already associated with this. That's why. So it shows that intolerance actually plays. It looks like a very trivial matter, but actually
it is a big deal.
Lot of problems.
Almost all the problems we face. This is actually the issue.
Absolutely can cause discrimination, segregation between
sectionalism,
people.
hate. Like it breeds hate.
As a matter of fact, even death. When I hear intolerance, or when I was having a conversation with somebody and then I asked, what do you think, or how many percent tolerant do you think you are? And the person is like, well, I know that people are different, so I think I'm 70% tolerant.
Yeah.
But then after having several conversations afterwards, and then the person is like, I don't really like this religious group, or I think that they have this, and I'm like, it doesn't just stem from you accepting that you are not your name is Jennifer and my name is Precious. It stems from accepting that even people's religion, like it plays a very
people's
long
opinion,
people's
tradition,
practices, beliefs, everything basically. But I think that intolerance is something that should be really tackled. It is a matter that should be it should just be eliminated from society, because it can cause a lot of death, and it has caused a lot of death as a matter of fact. But then we'll be talking more about intolerance after this short break. Stay with us.
The first season of Timeline is on. The journey so far has been amazing and impactful. The world needs change agents. The world needs me, you, and all of us. Join me on Timeline as we continue to share important information and discuss social issues that would help someone out there. Let's continue to advocate for critical changes on issues affecting our world today. And together, amplify messages that provide answers to burning questions. Our journey continues as we create awareness and promote shifts in health matters and other social issues that will alleviate personal and communal struggles, guided by international laws and best practices. Join me on Timeline exactly 7 p.m. every Friday on Youth Network's YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, and turn on the notification button. You can become an agent of positive change by dropping your comments in any of our episodes as a contributor or as a professional. Join the conversation respectfully.
Welcome back to Timeline. We're still on the topic of tolerance, and we've spoken at great length about the effects that intolerance has on the individuals, in the community, and even in the global space. But now let's take a focus on the benefits that tolerance has. And tolerance is the one that we're actually promoting, because tolerance is very, very important in the world that we live in. First off, let's look at how tolerance has promoted, or how tolerance can promote, people to express their freedom of human rights. Earlier I said that tolerance and most of the principles in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights are closely interwoven, because when you are able to tolerate people, that way they can be able to express themselves, express their selves, express their diversity, express their selves, and allow people to appreciate that thing about them. There's this thing that peace does to your well-being, like your well-being generally. Like even if you don't have money, when you are at peace with, say, your neighbors, people at your workplace, your family members, people around, there's just this peace that you have. And it even helps, for people to be more creative.
Yeah.
Like there are ways that you can think of, you just think about things and you are willing to, share them. But then when you know that, you are maybe one of the religious bodies that are being segregated, or this part or this ethnic group, your ethnic group is being segregated, even if you have an idea that is going to move the community forward, you would not even have the temerity to open your mouth and speak, because you already know that people are already being intolerant towards you.
And when you even see people that when you're tolerant, it is easier for you to know that somebody's rights is being abused.
Exactly.
Because it's not just about what you are doing for somebody or what someone is doing for you. It's easier for you to also help out with people too. Yeah. Because tolerance, it helps in the protection of human rights, like you mentioned. Yeah. People will be free to express themselves around you. And even when you see situations whereby people are not, properly expressing themselves, maybe you guys have a meeting or there's something, and then you're like, okay, why are people why is this person not being allowed to talk? Because tolerance, it goes just beyond our cultural diversities and all of that, our race. It's also down to ourselves too. Yes. So in places where it starts from little, when people are being, when people are able to freely express themselves, when people are able to
without discrimination,
pick of their rights, it can also help you to push for that too.
Yeah. Well, let me also add that one of the benefits of tolerance would be that it promotes democracy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because there is no democracy if people cannot air their opinions. People are free to actually say, this is what I want. This is what I want to do. Yeah. That's the whole idea of democracy. The people...
for the people, by the people.
Exactly. So it promotes democracy. Yeah. It makes people become very free. People are free to actually express themselves, what they want from the government, what they want from the environment where they live in. Also, I think unity will be the biggest because that's actually the main purpose of the United Nations in the first place. Yeah. Is actually to curb this intolerance that actually exists among people. Yeah. So if that's the core reason, then we should live like that.
Yeah. Exactly.
So unity makes all of that, just like you mentioned, that we makes us at peace. You can sleep well at night
because you can trust the person.
Exactly, because you can trust your neighbors, you can trust people in your workplace. You can be very, very free.
There was this ethnic, when people were talking about what they went through during the northern invasion and all of that. There was something that somebody said. He said, the painful thing about this is, it is the person that was close to you, the person you gave money to, your neighbor, the one you trusted, that was even leading people to come and kill you in your home just because you're a different tribe from them.
I think that it is even very absurd that you can just see somebody and say, I don't like you, so you deserve to die. That's that alone is already very scary.
You automatically think that the person should,
they don't deserve life, or they don't deserve they don't deserve the good things of life.
Yeah, and looking at how another benefit of tolerance, it builds a resilient community.
Absolutely.
Even a resilient nation. Yeah. Because when people are tolerant of each other, it will be easier for them to see the problem and tackle the problem.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
You cannot even capitalize on the fact that they are different, because they already trust each other, they already accept each other for who they are. You understand? So when you are coming and you're like, okay, I will give this tribe this thing, or I will give this particular region because these ones are minorities. They will be like, no,
we are
the same.
Yes, we are the same.
Cannot, now you have to do what you are meant to do. You not come and bribe these particular people and say, okay, I will give you 1 million, then I'll give you 200. They will not accept it, because they know that all of us are still living in this community. Yes. Yeah. Look at the situation of things in the country, for example. Everybody is suffering it. Do you understand?
Together.
So nobody's not who did this, who did that. Everybody's we're in this together. So when people are tolerant of each other, it is very easy for them to capitalize on the problem, to face the problem, and everybody will enjoy. Everybody will be able to reap the fruit of their labor together.
Even allows people to encourage their cultural differences, because it's a different thing to know that, oh, this person's culture is different, but I don't care about it. I just know that it's different. But then when there is tolerance, when there's tolerance, when you know that you're tolerant of the other person's cultural beliefs, practices, opinions, expression. Yeah. That way you can embrace and I remember in school, younger, and then they'll tell you it is cultural day, you have to dress in a culture that is not yours.
Yeah.
I feel like that is I feel like that is one of the ways that we can build and breed tolerance even amongst the younger ones. The other people's culture. And that time they will even tell you to cook food of that another person's culture, so that, and maybe tell a story, a historical story about them. Then it just helps to bring people together, you know, solidarity, make people, you know, love each other. And I said something about peace, like peace just like joy, and you know, being tolerant of other people just gives you some sort of joy. And then to highlight the fact that this topic is a major one, like it is a big deal. You know, the United Nations has formed the Declaration of Principles on Tolerance in 1995, and the principles are basically, I think that the core aim of those principles, right, is just to talk about tolerance, basically, and let people know that tolerance is not a little issue. Like tolerance goes beyond just, oh, you are from this side, you are from the Western country, I'm from the African country, so I accept you as one, even if we don't get to see as much. But the United Nations has taken it upon themselves to make sure that everybody knows about tolerance, everybody knows the effect that tolerance has on us. And then there are six principles under the Declaration of the Principles of Tolerance, and then the first one speaks just about the definition of tolerance and how, you know, important tolerance is. And then we gave the definition earlier, you know, about how tolerance is accepting the rich diversity of our culture.
And the second one was about how it can be applicable in the state level. And by states, you know, the United Nations lists states as countries. That's what they states or parties. So it means that tolerance is not, like I mentioned earlier, it's not just a moral duty, it's a legal requirement. So like it is important that when people are not tolerant, it leads to marginalization. A lot of people feel segregated, minorities begin to come up, majority and all of that. So tolerance at the state level just means that it should be incorporated into international conventions like the one they have, principles, people, because it has to do with our human rights. So it needs to be in the law so that tolerance should be very paramount in every dealings of a country or a society.
And the third one has to do with that tolerance does not just have to do with your culture. It must actually be implemented in your workplace, your family, your society. Everybody has to be included. You're not just picking maybe your people to just
selectiveness.
You cannot just select a group of people to just
be tolerant
about. But everybody
just say, imagine saying that, oh, I'm tolerant, but I'm only tolerant to people of my tribe. How absurd do you get? How absurd is that?
That's not even tolerance.
Exactly because you have to be tolerant to like everybody, regardless of their opinions, even if they
respect, you accept, you appreciate
it. Exactly, those three keywords. So then the fourth one, which is the one that we're going to be focusing on right now, speaks about education. You know, education and educating, you know, people around, both, you know, in the school level, educating schools, educating teachers, educating even, you know, because I feel like a child's formative years doesn't just happen in the home. You know, it happens like even in the school. And children, there's a way that children revere what adults tell them. Like anything that, let's say, their parents or their teachers tell them is law to them. So inculcating, you know, tolerance and, you know, education about tolerance into their educational curriculum is very important, because that way they know that I'm supposed to be tolerant of the next person. Because I've seen so many cases of, you know, racism and ethnic division, and then these children just grow up to know that these people are less. These people are inferior. Why do you think that these people are inferior? They don't know. But it was just the education that they got. So I think that this number 4 principle is very, very important, because it even involves training the teachers. Because there are even most adults that know almost nothing about tolerance. So I really like the fact that it is also aimed at training even the teachers to be able to train the children rather, because you cannot give out what you don't have.
Yes, exactly. And you know, tolerance is like, you know, how best you're able to respect people's opinion, their ways of being human. So also showing it to them in school too, like, oh, like you're being tolerant of this person regardless of their tribe. Because you go to school, you see a lot of teachers, like they would not even want to, they would just be saying some kind of slurs towards these children because you are from a different tribe. So it should also be imparted towards them too, as well as what they do to other people. The 5th article talks about commitment to action. It shows that the United Nations is committed to, you know, making tolerance like a public event. You know, people are talking about it and how it is important to be tolerant. And it also shows that we too, as, you know, people, we should also be tolerant. We should also commit ourselves to practicing tolerance anywhere we find ourselves in our society, in our homes, anywhere you find yourself. Like, just be tolerant.
And the 6th principle would be the International Tolerance Day, which the United Nations have dedicated to celebrating tolerance, creating awareness for tolerance, which is the 16th of November. So I think it's a very, very good thing they are doing there.
You know, when it comes to anything that has to do with change and development in the nation, I just want to give, you know, the United Nations a round of applause because they're doing so much. They're doing so much, and they're really, really dedicated to making sure that intolerance is an issue of the past. But before I even sign off, because like we're way past time, let me just ask you both. How tolerant do you think you are? Let me start from you.
Well, I can't.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
This your home is loud.
Well, maybe let me not over exaggerate.
Okay.
Maybe a 6 or a 7.
You're even fair.
Jennifer, I mean, if you had asked me from before like this conversation, I would have said 10. But after this conversation, I would probably bring that to 9.9.
Oh my god, that means you must be really tolerant of me and everybody around.
Yes, I am.
And we want to really see it. I think you should even join the United Nations in, you know, spreading information about tolerance. I will. Well, since you people did not ask me, thank you for not asking. But I think that I am over 10. I can say I'm a 5. I mean, I'm not even trying to lie.
Thank you very much for your honesty.
Like, I'm a 5. I think I'm a 5. Not because, you know, I'm totally intolerant, but I feel like it is hard. It can be hard. No, not exactly. It can be very hard, but tolerance is very important.
Yes.
Like, very, very important in going through life, basically, because you meet different people every day. You meet people from different backgrounds, people that have different beliefs, people that practice different things, people from different religions and ethnic groups. And you cannot exactly dictate to them, even if you are a boss. You cannot tell them you have to do this or you have to believe this. So tolerance is very, very important. And my 2 cents on this is everybody should make sure that they try their best. Tolerance is not something that you can just say, I can't, you know, later I will, maybe when I get married, I will be tolerant. No, it starts from somewhere, because how do you even expect, because what if you don't get married to somebody in the same, you know, in the same community as you? Even if you get married to your brother, you will just realize that even your brother has, you know, different opinions, like I said earlier, even twins. So like, tolerance is very, very important, and the importance of tolerance cannot be overemphasized. Well, this is where we wrap it up on today's episode of Timeline. I'm sure that you learned a lot, because like Jennifer said, she thought she was a 10, you know, when it came to tolerance, but right now she has, you know, realized the importance, you know, of tolerance.
9.9, girl.
9.9, bro. I mean, you reduced a little. So now, you know, follow us on all our social media platforms at Hued Network, and keep the conversations respectful. And also tell us if you're tolerant, and, you know, over 10, tell us how tolerant you are. Well, I am Precious.
And I am Jennifer.
And I'm Jennifer.
And we'll be seeing you.
Bye.